Lama Guru Vajradar Sumatimu Nishasane Kar Uta Vardanya Shri Badra Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Pakyuke kudan dagi lu, pakyuke sundan dagi nga, pakyuke tukdan dagi yi, ten yerme çiktu jingi lu, makyuke kudan dagi lu, makyuke sundan dagi nga, makyuke tukdan dagi yi, ten yerme çiktu jingi lu. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Sangye chodan soge chonam la janchu pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibe sonam gi drola penchire sangye drupa rasho sangye chodan soge chonam la janchu pardo dani kyapsu chi dagi jinso gibe sonam gi drola penchire sangye drupa sangye chodan sogi chonam la chancho bardo da jinso gibe sonam gi drola penchire sangye drupa rasho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Sometimes I see that we have a sort of a difficulty, it looks to me, that is in the question, how do I generate this state or that state? It's like when we say, okay, now meditate on love. How do we do that actually? And we have the tendency to try to think where I am now and suddenly I need to think about love, and then we just try to connect ourselves with that. And that's not exactly the right way of doing it. So, yesterday we were talking about the fact that for us to develop any part of the path, we need to first listen, then we need to comprehend. Once comprehended, it means we have no more doubt whatsoever about that. And then once we reach that state, then we need to meditate on it. Okay? To meditate means to familiarize. Yesterday we were talking a lot about creating good habits, changing the bad habits and creating positive habits by repeating. But we do not need to familiarize ourselves with the concept. It's also good, but that's not the objective. The objective is not realizing the concept of why I should love others and how I should love others. The objective is to feel love for others, okay? Which are two different things. Like, for example, when we talk about impermanence. One thing is to understand, oh yes, phenomena are impermanent. Another thing is to perceive phenomena as being impermanent. It's two different things. Okay? So our objective is not the understanding, but is to generate certain stages of consciousness and familiarize ourselves with that stages of consciousness. In order to do that, we have two types of meditation, which is called Chegom, analytical meditation, and Jogom, which is the single-pointed meditation. So we start with analytical meditation, which brings us steps that we reflect upon, and every one of the steps will gradually guide our mind through a certain state until it reaches the state that we want to familiarize ourselves with. And when we reach that state, then we keep our mind focused on that point with a single-pointed meditation. Okay? So, there is a specific path of doing it. Even when we talk about let's develop love, there is a process that we should go through to develop that love. It is somehow artificial, yes. Because it's not coming out of nothing, it's not coming like total spontaneous. It's something that we generate gradually, that we go and we put an effort, and by that we generate that state. But it's real when we generate it. Because by generating that state, the more we generate, the easier it becomes, until gradually it becomes natural and spontaneous. That's when we realize it. But there is a gradual path of doing it. Okay? And based on this, we have the process of, for example, before when we talk about equanimity. One thing is to understand, oh yes, we all suffer, we all want to be happy, and everything we do out of our own ignorance, but wishing for our own happiness. Okay? So we are all the same. One thing is to understand, another thing is to feel it. We need to induce our mind to feel it, not simply to understand it. And what do we meditate on? That feeling, not on that understanding. I think it's clear, no? The difference between the two. So, this is something that is not so simple, is not so easy, but that's the real way. Because there is the danger of putting a lot of energy and effort into meditating, for example, on equanimity, but we are meditating on the concept of equanimity, and we are not generating the feeling of equanimity within ourselves, the state of equanimity. So we are never familiarizing ourselves with equanimity. We are only familiarizing ourselves with the concept of equanimity. And these are two very different things, actually. Okay? So based on this, we must induce ourselves to these states of mind in order to generate them. Paponka Rinpoche, in this very beautiful text, which we have translated and printed short time ago, which is called the Lamrin Lagle Marja Nyingi Turma. The title in English is something like the heart spoon to take the essence of the practice of the path. And on this text, Paponka Rinpoche said something very clear, actually. He was saying, when we generate positive states of mind, but these states of mind come out of external conditions, they are not reliable. For example, I see someone suffering, and I generate a state of compassion. That's beautiful, that's good, nothing wrong about it. Much better to generate a state of compassion when you see someone suffering than not caring for that person. But that state of compassion is not truly reliable. Why? Because it depends on an external condition. So then what happens? We cannot always have people suffering around us to feel compassion. The point is that the emotions that with positive states of mind that we generate, but we generate them as a reaction for something external that is happening, it's good. It means we are going in a good direction, generally speaking, but it's not enough. It's not truly reliable. We need to be able to generate that states of consciousness from in to out. Then we are in a state of compassion, so when we see someone suffering, naturally we manifest our compassion. But also when we are not seeing someone suffering, we still have that feeling of compassion. It's not depending on that. Okay? So, this doesn't mean that this emotion is not true or is not good. It's simply not reliable for the path to enlightenment. Okay? So what we need to generate these states of mind by inducing ourselves to them. And for our fortune, the great masters, starting from Buddha and all the great masters that came after, they gave us very precise instructions of steps that we need to do in order to generate such stages of mind. So, for example, at the point of the text that we are right now, on the 7 points mind training, we are in the part of training ourselves in love and compassion, more precisely, training ourselves in bodhicitta, the awakening mind, the mind of enlightenment. Bodhicitta is this state of mind in which one wishes deeply and strongly to get out of one's own cycle of suffering and to develop one's qualities to their maximum potential, so by that means one can help others. It comes out of, let's say, a sort of frustration of not being able to help others. So it's like, I must develop myself because that's the only true way how I can actually help others. So this is the connection which is being made by the two. But in order for us to develop, normally we say the mind generating the mind of bodhicitta. To generate bodhicitta, there are steps that we need to follow. There are states of mind. First we need to develop one state, then the other, and slowly to build up until we reach that state of mind. Okay? So this is what we are going to continue to see today. What are the stages of mind that we need to generate one after the other? So when we say meditate on the bodhicitta, it's not just suddenly think about bodhicitta. No. It's like there are many steps that we need to follow, one after the other, as we generate them. By first analytical meditation, then single-pointed meditation, we generate that state, we remain within that state, then we go to the next, we generate it, we remain within it, we go to the next, we generate it, we keep it, and like this until we come to the state of bodhicitta. Okay? There is a gradual process of developing it. Okay? So we will go to that. For me, it's so important to see and understand this because it shows to us that the path is possible. It's not just something like, okay, we need to develop bodhicitta. Oh, please, I need bodhicitta. It's so important, bodhicitta. But looks like something disconnected from our own reality. And so far away. Instead, if we look at the steps, maybe, okay, the higher step is a bit far. But the first step is near to me. And when I do the first, I can do the second. Then I can do the third. And like this, I can go on until I reach the highest level. If I only look at the highest level and I see where I am now and I say, oh, that's impossible, how beautiful it would be to be up there, but I cannot. Instead, there is a beautiful staircase just in front of me, and from where I am, there are steps that I can do to gradually go up until I reach the top. So we need to know each one of these steps so that we can actually follow them and we can reach there. Okay? So today, there are different... Let's say there are different staircases to reach bodhicitta. Okay? There are different orders of steps that we can do in order to reach bodhicitta. We are going to, here it integrates more or less the two systems, but we will see what are the steps as being shown here to us. Okay? We go to page number 41, which is the part that refers to the generation of relative bodhicitta. And it says, here we have the different steps that we need to follow. Lelen tamche chigla da kunla karin chewa gonton le niwa pelmar jang lembe koren rang netsam teni lungla kyombarcha yulsum tuksum getsasum jegi menga dordepa tela dremba kulwechir cholum kundu tsigi jang. Banish the one to blame for everything. This part we have seen yesterday, which means recognize selfishness, the self-cherishing mind, the obsession with self-gratification. Recognize that as the main cause of your own suffering and the main cause of the suffering of everyone around. So recognize that clearly and banish it. Don't follow it. The next step, it says, meditate on the great kindness of all beings. Meditate here doesn't mean only close your eyes and meditate. It means like familiarize. Okay, create a positive habit of recognizing the great kindness of all beings. In order for us to recognize the great kindness of all beings, we need to go through few steps before. Okay? There are different ways of meditating on generating the bodhicitta. One way is called equalizing and exchanging oneself with others, which is the one that is mainly taught here in the Lojong. Okay? And then there is the other one, which is called the 7 causes and result of to develop bodhicitta. The Gyundre Menga Dun, the instructions, Menga, of the 7 causes and result, which goes by recognizing every sentient being as our mother, recognizing their kindness, wishing to repay back their kindness, developing love towards them, developing compassion, developing the altruistic compassion that with strong intention to help them, and then finally develop bodhicitta. But all of this, in both cases, we need to start with something that is on the basis of it, which is developing equanimity. Before we actually develop any sense of kindness and feeling the kindness of other beings, we must first of all develop a state of equanimity. In this context, equanimity means to see that there is no difference between oneself and others. Okay? One of the important aspects here is that normally when we see that someone is in the same situation as we are, let's say a person have the same sickness as we have, a person have the same problem as we have, we naturally generate some sort of empathy for that person, right? Like, one of the ways of getting the other person to feel empathy for you is to show that you suffer in the same way as he does. Sometimes it's really crazy, I see that it happens sometimes. You try to connect the person, and the person is not open to any connection. Then you start complaining, because the person is complaining about things, no? And then you see that he's not able to connect. Then if you start complaining also about something similar on your behalf, then the person feels the connection. And then from that there is the openness, and from that you can go in and bring a solution. So the fact is that normally we have this attitude of feeling more empathy and connection to those that are more similar to us. Okay? If you have the same sickness I have, somehow I like you. Okay? We have this naturally. Okay? Now we don't need to enter now why, but this is how it happens, right? So, what happens is that we need to use this on our favor. So the first step is to see that there is no difference between us and others. We are in the same situation. We are suffering from the same sickness. We are exactly in the same boat. There is no difference between us and others. Okay? So, what is this? How do we do that? It doesn't matter who we are, where we are, what is our culture, what is our social status, if we are rich, if we are poor, if we are intelligent, if we are not intelligent, if we are wise or if we are ignorant. It doesn't matter where we are, in which context we are, we all wish to be happy. And we all suffer, and we don't want to suffer. And the most amazing thing of all is that each and every one of us, we wish very much to be happy, and we do everything we can in order to be happy. In other words, we do everything that we do thinking is the best for our own happiness, guided although most often by our own ignorance. Okay? When thinking about this, even though it's quite logic, it's quite shocking. When we see all the violence that happens in the world, all the conflicts, the most cruel things that happen, and so on, if we look, there is not one of these actions that are done by people or whoever that are not done with the thought that that's the best that I am doing for my own happiness. Okay? This is actually quite shocking in a way. This is showing how much ignorance there is around also. No? So, when we look to ourselves and we say, do I want to be happy? Yes. I look for happiness? Yes. Do I avoid suffering? Yes, I do. Do I do everything I do thinking is the best for my own happiness? Even when I'm doing something I know is not good. I said, better to do that than to have the result of not doing it, Even when we do something that we don't like doing, we still do it because we think it's better to do it than not to do it. That's why finally we do it. Okay? So we never do anything if we are not sure that that action is the best thing for our own happiness. That's why it's so important, the last point that we saw yesterday, that selfishly speaking is better to be altruistic. Okay? If we do not truly believe that it's the best for us to open our heart, we're never going to do it. So, once we got to that point, the next step is opening our mind by generating equanimity. There is one verse in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, the guide to the lifestyle of the Bodhisattva, written by Shantideva. It's in the 8th chapter, around verse number 87, something like that. And it says, I don't remember the precise words, but something like this. It says, in the moment that every sentient being around me wishes to be happy just as I wish, what is there so special about me that I only care for my own happiness? The moment that every sentient being around me tries to get rid of suffering, what is there so special about me that I only care for my own suffering? What is the answer? Nothing. I'm not so special. Why my happiness is more important than yours or whatever else? Why my suffering is more important than yours? The only answer would be because it's mine. There is no other answer truly. Okay? So the point here is understanding, first of all, that we are all in the same level. There is no difference whatsoever for all of us. So once we understood that, we need to repeat it and to generate that state where we look to others and we feel that there is no difference between us. We are in the same boat. Independently, if you are my friend, if you are my enemy, or if I am indifferent to you. And if we are able to generate this equanimity to our enemies, which means those to whom we have difficulty and aversion, then it becomes much more easy to generate with the whole rest, because it's quite easy to generate this equanimity with our friends. Oh, you go because I already like you, so look, oh yes, you are also suffering like me, you also want to be happy. Let's be happily together in the same boat, okay? But what happens is that when we look to others, that I don't know you, are we really in the same situation? Am I really like you? Then when we look to someone that we really don't like, okay? It can be someone that we truly know personally. It can be someone that is a public figure, someone that we really don't know so well, or it can be someone that is a historical figure. Okay? It's quite amazing how we can generate aversion for someone we never even met. Okay? Anyhow, we think about any one of these, someone towards whom we have specific aversion. It can be someone we know personally, someone that is like just a public figure or a historical figure. And then we look to that person, like if we look in his eyes, and we ask ourselves, is he suffering? Yes. Does he like to suffer? No. Does he want to be happy? Yes. What difference is that between him and me on that level? None. Okay. It's not so easy. But we must do it if we want to move on the path. Otherwise, forget about it. The point is that once we generate the empathy, because we see we are in the same situation, then gradually we can open our heart to that person. First, we need to generate the empathy. And we do this by seeing that we are exactly in the same situation. In other words, we are sick by the same sickness. We have the same problem. We are on the same level. Some of those are more intelligent, others are less intelligent. Some are more spiritual, others are less spiritual. Some have better conditions, others have worse conditions. But we are all here trying to be happy, are trying to avoid suffering, guided by our own ignorance, conditioned by our karma, conditioned by our mind and body, conditioned by all the conditions we have around us. So what is the difference between me and you on a deeper level? Known. And there is no difference between me and you on a deeper level. And there is one point which is important to help us to develop that state, which is the understanding that it's not because I love you, that I have empathy for you, it's not because I open myself to you, it's not because I love you, that I need to agree with everything you do and the way how you think. I can love you, I can wish for your happiness, but I still can think that you are doing things in a very bad way and I do not agree with the way how you do and you are. Okay? Because we have this tendency to think that if I love you, I must agree with what you do and the way you are. Okay? So normally if I love you and you do something wrong, I try to justify it. Because we have the sensation that if I recognize your mistakes and if I recognize the aspects which I think is wrong on you and I actually love you, I am somehow going against you. You're going against the love I have for you, and that's wrong. One thing is that I love you. Another thing is if I agree or not with what you do. Okay? I think it's quite clear, no? So, I can think, look, you are the most terrible person I ever met, but I still love you. I still wish you to be happy. One thing is not contradictory with the other. Okay? So on the basis of that, we must first generate this deep state of equanimity. We must reflect upon it, feel it, until we look at other people and we can feel there is no difference between me and you. We are in the same situation. We may dress differently, we may talk differently, we may have different cultures, we may think differently, but we are in the same situation. Here we are in samsara together, trying to be happy. Okay? It's simple, but it requires quite a lot of, how do you call that? We need to be coherent and we need to be sincere with ourselves, intellectually also. Because it's not so easy truly to develop this equanimity. We have some resistance towards it. We have this sort of resistance to say, how can I love you? Look what you have done. How can I say we are the same? Look, or no, we are not the same. Come on. We are not saying we are the same. We are saying that we are in the same situation. Okay. So we need to do that by taking the person that is the person that we really see as the worst and develop that mind. We are on the same situation, which is the basis for empathy. Okay? I think it's quite clear, right? So this is the first basis, which it's called generating equanimity. Okay? Second point. Meditate on the great kindness of all beings. Once we have generated equanimity, we need to move on. And the next step is to recognize how every sentient being is actually kind and precious to us. Okay? So, I would like to go to page 29 and just read the first verse of the 8 verses of mind training, as it says. Danye simchen tamchela yishi norbulel hakpe tunchu druba sampai taktu chebar zimbrasho. May I always cherish all limited beings by considering how far superior they are to wish-granting gems for actualizing the supreme aim. The point here is recognizing how precious every sentient being is to us in order for us to generate gratitude towards them. Okay? So, let's start from a more material, mundane point of view. Very often nowadays people have the tendency to think, I am self-sufficient, I do not depend on anyone. You know, I have my job, I pay my bills, I do not depend on anyone. And we have this sort of pride of not depending on others. Tell me, who does not depend on others? Not one person. When we have a plate of food in front of us, how many people needed to work in order for that plate of food to be there? I don't even know, but so many. Okay. The other day I was with the guys from the electrical company here in Italy for one technical thing of the center. And then I was talking to them about different aspects. They were explaining me some things. And then I was thinking, look, how much work is behind turning on the light? You know, we go here, we see the beautiful mandalas with light, how nice, and so on. No, how much is behind that? How many people at this very right moment need to be doing something in order for this to be working? How many people needed to invent things and do things in order for us to be able to click and the light is on? In every level we depend on others, on our clothes, on the heating, on the food, on everything, on transportation. There is not one thing that will not depend on many, 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 many other people and beings and animals and insects and so on. Okay? So, I was remembering about one friend. I have one friend of mine that he lived for around 7 years in total being self-sufficient. In a sense, he was living in the middle of the mountain area, in the forest. He was planting his own food. He had his own ships to make his own clothes. He built the house out of the wood that he got, and he cut the trees and he built his own house. He was 100% self-sufficient in this way. But was he still depending on others or not? He depended on the sheep to warm himself up in the winter. He depended on many other animals and many other beings in order to do that. He depended on the knowledge he received from other people in order to be able to do what he did. And like this we can go on and on and on and on. So, from a very mundane, material level, even, we depend on others. And others is not few people. We depend on a lot of people. And if it was not one somewhere doing what he did, we would not be here doing what we are doing. Okay. So, this is the first thing. We receive a lot. And we have somehow this false idea that because if I pay you, I do not owe you anything. So I am eating my food, I have been paying for it, so why do I need to feel grateful to anyone about it? Because if these people were not doing what they are doing, I would not be eating. Okay. The payment is just an exchange, and that's okay, that's fair. In the whole system in which we live, I mean, it could be different, but in the system where we are right now, it's okay, it's fair. But it's not because I pay you that I am not receiving from you, and I should not be grateful to you. Okay. So, first thing is, materially, we receive a lot from many, many, many people all the time. People, insects, animals, we receive a lot from many other beings around us. Even we receive a lot from many beings that we don't even see with our eyes. Okay? Just think about if our body works regularly, it's thanks to many bacteria that are in our body. This year I got to this shocking information that something like 80% of our body is made out of bacteria. Okay? That more or less in a male body around 50 kilos are bacteria. Okay? And we see how much they influence our thoughts, how much they influence our body. So I was remembering the first speech that Rinpoche gave, public speech that Rinpoche gave in Brazil, 1986. It was on a club, which was called Clube Pinheiros. It was an open public talk. And in this talk, he was talking about the importance to be friends and make peace with our own bacteria. And some people were looking and say, this guy is crazy, no? But the more we go on, the more we see how he was right, no? And there is even one prayer from Bodhisattva Charyavatara which says, may all the bacteria be happy and may all be peace. May the bacteria have compassion towards me, no? So what I want to say is that we depend also on these beings. You know? We say my body, but actually it's not exactly my, how many beings are there, But the fact is that the point I want to bring, not careful not to enter into another path, but the fact is that we depend on others. Physically, socially, materially, we depend on others. So what does that mean that we depend on others? We constantly receive a lot from others. How beautiful, how grateful that I receive from others. Okay. On the other level, our knowledge, our understanding, our emotional maturity, all of this depend on the interaction with others. If since we were a little child we would be closed in a room without meeting anyone, we would be completely undeveloped from many, many aspects, okay? Sure, by interacting with others we may have a little bit some more traumas maybe, but still we develop many qualities that otherwise we would never develop. There have even been experiences of experiments of not taking, but because of situations that happened. If one human baby grows from the very, very, very early age, far away of human beings, he doesn't develop the basic skills of human beings. Okay? So it's very much to do with interaction. A lot of what we learn, a lot of what we are, is the result of the interaction we have and we had with others. So thank you. If it was not for all of you, I would not be what I am. Talking about the good part. Okay? So, on a deeper level still, okay, on the same level still, we can say even learning how to read and write, we depend on others. Every knowledge we have, it depends on someone teaching us, and someone that developed it earlier and made a book and wrote the text and gave it to us, and someone that said, you must go to school, and there we were going to school. All of this together brings us to be where we are and know what we know, and being able to take a book and read it and get in touch and feel joy out of this. All of this is only happening because there were people that gave all of this to us. And they are still there doing it. So if it was not for them, I would not be what I am. I would be much worse of what I am. So thank you. On the next level, spiritually speaking, if we put on a scale the blessings of all the Buddhas and the guidance from our gurus, okay? And on the other last side of the scale, we put all sentient beings. Which one is more important for our path to enlightenment? They are the same weight, the same level. We cannot develop our own inner qualities without the other sentient beings around us. For different reasons. First of all, what is one of the most important qualities we need to develop? love and wisdom. Okay? Love, compassion, and wisdom. Love and compassion, remember, it's always two sides of the same thing. The part of developing of wisdom, it's a deep change of paradigm, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of effort. And the only way it is said to be to have such energy and such determination to change deeply our paradigm and develop their correct wisdom is through love. It's the deep emotion of love and compassion that is giving us the strength to develop wisdom on our path to enlightenment. So even for the development of wisdom, we need love. In order to develop love, which is another very, 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 very important inner state of being, a very important inner quality for our own path. Can we develop love only by ourselves? Or we need to love someone? We need to have compassion towards someone. We must have someone to love in order to develop love. We must have someone to whom develop compassion in order to have compassion. So, you are there, you allow me to love you, thank you. I don't need anything back from you, but the only possibility to love you, that's more than enough. One of the important aspects on our path is the development of positive karma. As the day before yesterday we were talking about the law of karma. So, we cannot experience results if we do not create the causes. And at the same time with that, what happens is that the best way to create positive causes, to generate positive karma, positive energy, is through generosity, is by giving, is by sharing, is through love and compassion. So how can I generate the positive causes for my own development and my own happiness? By giving to others. Like St. Francis said in a simple prayer, is by giving that we receive. So, it's only by the possibility of giving to others that we can actually receive. There is no other way around. It's only by having someone to whom I can open my heart that I can truly develop love and compassion. And it's only through love and compassion that we can develop a deeper state of peace and stability and joy, and we can have the strength to develop wisdom. Okay. So, without having someone to love, someone towards to whom have compassion, I cannot develop my own deeper qualities. That's why, as it says here, may I always cherish all limited beings, every sentient being, by considering how far superior they are. They are superior to the wish-granting gems. They are superior for what? For actualizing the supreme aim. The supreme aim is enlightenment. I cannot reach enlightenment without others. Not possible. Simply not possible, because the basis for enlightenment is love and wisdom, and I cannot develop both of them if I don't have someone to love, someone to whom to be generous, someone to help. It's not possible if I have no way how to develop these feelings within myself. So, the wish-granting gem is a gem that grants every mundane wish. Nowadays, what would be the wish-granting gem? A bank account with few $1 billion, let's say, okay? Let's say we have $10 billion account. I think that's quite enough, no? For our material wishes. So, hopefully yes. Yeah. So, let's say we get a $10 billion account and we can buy whatever we want. We can fulfill any material wish we like. Okay, if 10 billion is not enough, we can add another zero, no problem. But whatever amount we have, so we can fulfill every of our mundane wish, material wish. Can this assure us happiness, satisfaction, joy? Can this assure us to have a good continuity after death? Not at all. On the other side, if I open my heart and I truly develop love and compassion, and this gives me the strength to develop wisdom, this will bring me peace, this will bring me joy, this will bring me the certainty of having a good continuity after my own death. This is something that even the most expensive, the most special, wish-fulfilling gem cannot give me. And I can only develop these qualities through other sentient beings. And others means everyone. It's not, oh, the others, like there are 10 people I really like, so let's focus all my love on them. I'm talking about everyone. Because we are talking here about a state of love that is a state of love that is unconditional. Which means I love you because you do exist. That's enough. Because the selfish way of loving is like a business, making business with others, no? I give you some love, you give me that. And what happened when you do not give me what I think you are supposed to give me because I am loving you? I stop loving you. This is business, no? We had an agreement. You are supposed to give me that based on what I'm giving to you. You are not giving me what you are. You have broken the agreement, so finish. I'm not loving you anymore. This is our selfish way of loving. The altruistic way of loving is, I love you because you exist, and I'm so happy. I don't need anything back. Just the only opportunity to love you is more than enough. I don't need anything more than that. Because actually, do we like to be loved? It's nice, no? Sure, we like. Okay. And at the same time, how many things we do in order to be loved? Way too many, actually. Okay. But there is one important thing to understand. Being loved is very nice, okay. But loving others, it's way much better than being loved. When we truly are able to open our heart, even for an instant, on a way that is sincere, pure, without expecting anything back, in a truly non-conditional way, we open our heart to others. It can be one person that becomes everyone. When we truly open our heart in an unconditional way, it brings to us a state of peace, a state of being fulfilled, a state of everything being in place, of nothing lacking, its own balance somehow. It really brings this deep state of fulfillment. And it is such deep inner state of joy and well-being that I believe there is almost no other state that can be compared to it. Sure, not mundanely. There is no state of joy that we can get through our selfishness that can bring something near to the joy and fulfillment from a non-conditional love. So selfishly speaking, it's better. So we need to develop that, and from that we need to first generate equanimity. Second step, understand and feel how every sentient being is important for us. And it's only through them that we can develop our own selves. Even in the monasteries, when we make debate and dialectics, there is one point in which there is one debate that comes which says, okay, what will happen in the day that almost all sentient beings have reached enlightenment and there is one sentient being left? He will not be able to reach enlightenment. Why? Because there are no any other sentient beings towards whom he can have compassion. So he will not be able to develop compassion and love towards them. He will not be able to practice generosity and all the rest. So he cannot reach enlightenment. He will get trapped by the lack of sentient beings in order to reach enlightenment, And we can go on and on this debate. And how? I think we don't need to worry about it right now. We are still a bit far away. Sadly, we are still far away from that moment. One of the answers during the debate is, But the many Buddhas, out of their wisdom and compassion, they would manifest themselves as suffering beings, so others can develop compassion, just as they did as Buddha Maitreya did with Asanga. Okay? But anyhow, maybe I am the last one and you're all emanations of Buddha. Who knows? But the fact is that without sentient beings, we cannot develop our qualities. That's a fact. So, it's so important for us to feel the gratitude. Because when we feel gratitude, it means we feel that we have received, something is precious, so we receive a lot, and this by itself already gives a fulfillment. And when I recognize that not only you are in the same situation as me, but you are precious to me, my mind gets already more near to you, and I already open myself a little bit more to you. So I am one step ahead in order to love you. I'm not yet loving you. I like you, not really yet. I see that you have been nice to me. Okay? That's the first step. We are in the same situation, and you have been helping me. Thank you. Next step, to like you. Next step, to love you. Okay? But it's a gradual process. The first step, I receive a lot from everyone. Materially, intellectually, from the point of view of our character and everything we know, and spiritually, we depend on others. And that's good. That we can receive from others as we receive constantly. Okay? Again, this is not just a mental game. We need to feel it and train ourselves in that feeling. Again and again, we need to induce ourselves to this feeling of gratitude towards others and feeling that we depend on everyone, so that gradually we can develop it more spontaneously. And we use the verses in order to help us in that direction. Okay? So, as Geshe Chikawa said, we are here on page 41. Meditate, familiarize yourself on the great kindness of all beings. Once we understand that we receive a lot from all sentient beings, there is another level of recognizing the kindness of all of them. And this we go to here to page 61. And in page number 61, we have the text of Panchen Rinpoche, and he says, Tekchen chogor shulo chela kyang, drodruk pamar ningne madrempe, rantum bashi drube nyeran shing, trinche manam yalwar torpe gyo, chansem sunyen dala tujesi, dagpe shenche jomper jingilo. Although I have tried to enter the door of the Dharma, of the great vehicle, which means although I have tried to develop bodhicitta, I have tried to enter into the Mahayana path, I have not recalled the 6 migrating beings as parents from my heart. I do not recognize all the sentient beings as have been my own father and mother deeply from my heart. Therefore, I have forsaken my kind mothers, just like the Shravaka and Pratyekya Buddha, procuring only self-interest. Thus, I am filled with regret. With your compassion, please look upon me, the mere reflection of a bodhisattva. Please bless me to train myself in cherishing others more than myself. The point here is, even though we say we are entering into the Mahayana path, we are following the path of the bodhisattva and so on, if we do not deeply, from our hearts, feel every sentient being as being grateful to us, if we don't feel the kindness of everyone, if we do not connect to everyone, we will never develop the love for all sentient beings. So we end up using the Mahayana method to follow the Hinayana path. Okay? Which is a wonderful path. Nothing against it. Huh? Just to make clear. Here, when we call here the Shravaka and the Pratyekya Buddha are 2 aspects of the Hinayana path, which is the path of self-development. I want to get out of samsara and I do everything I need to do that. Wonderful, beautiful. Nothing against it, but it's a different thing than wanting to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, if we do not truly, deeply feel every sentient being as having been our father, our mother, as having been of benefit for us, as if we do not connect to every sentient being, we will never develop true love and compassion towards them. So, even though we are part of the Mahayana, we are using the Mahayana method of teachings and practices to follow the Hinayana path. Okay? It's a very common. There is another level which is a bit lower, which is that of using spiritual methods to follow a mundane path. This is another thing, but okay, that's not the point now. We talked about this a few days ago. So, the point here is, how do I assure myself to open my heart towards others, to really go through the Mahayana path? I need to recognize the kindness of every sentient being. So, there are a few processes of understanding that helps us. One is, if one person helped me today, and another person helped me 20 years ago, the level of kindness that this person had to me, the gratitude that I have, is the same, or should it be different, or should it be the same? I would say the same. Or does help comes with an expiry date of gratitude? Okay? You helped me, 3 months have passed, sorry, you're out of gratitude time. It's not like that. Independently of when you helped me, you have helped me, and so I feel grateful towards you. Okay? If someone comes now and saves our lives, are we grateful to that? Imagine that we get in a point that we are not able to eat, we are not able to survive only by ourselves, and then someone comes and dedicates day and night and saves our lives. We feel grateful, right? That's what our parents have done to us. In the most vulnerable moment of our lives, which was just after our birth, could we survive if it was not for someone giving us food and taking care of us, or not? I don't think so. Okay? So there was someone, if it was our biological parents or not, there was someone there, if we're here today, that was giving us food, that was protecting us from heat and cold, that was washing us, that was taking care of us in all manners, that saved our life in that moment, because we were in an extremely vulnerable situation. Okay? So someone saved us. Shouldn't we be grateful for that? As if we should be grateful for someone that is saving our life now. Okay? This has nothing to do with the fact if later these parents were good parents, were bad parents, how did they educate us, what they did not. Maybe they had attitudes that we don't like and we think that they were not good to us, or they actually truly harmed us, or they are very difficult people to deal with, or they are easy people. It goes much beyond all of that. Okay? Sure, our parents are most probably in some sadha just as we are. They also suffer, they also want to be happy, they also want, if they are alive or not, they are in some sadha just as us. They do things out of their own ignorance, thinking it's the best for their own happiness, just as we do. Okay? But this and whatever, and maybe they fit in the box of parents that we have made, and maybe they don't fit in the box of father and mother that we have. But independently how well they fit or not in the idealized image we have of parents, independently of what they have done or not, they have saved our lives. They have taken care of us in the moment that we were the most vulnerable of all. So, shall we be grateful for that or not? Yes. No? And here comes one, I explained before, there was a question, so I bring it before, I put together this point. There is a saying in Brazil, which I really like, and it says, one thing is one thing, another thing is another thing. Uma coisa é uma coisa, outra coisa é outra coisa. Okay? One thing is one thing, another thing is another thing. The fact that someone does something good for me, okay, will not take away the harm that I receive. And the harm that I receive will not take away the good things that I receive. It's not a matter of putting on a scale and saying, okay, should I love this person or not? How much good you did, how much bad you did. It doesn't matter how much bad things I may have experienced with you. I still am grateful for the good things I received from you. Okay? So, when you talk about parents, we live in a moment of history where people have very difficult relations with parents very often. Okay? So, it's not a matter of, okay, my father and mother or whoever did the job of father and mother. Okay, we're not talking about biological father and mother here. Okay? Whoever they were, independently of the fact that later what type of education they give me and how good they were to me or not, sure they did many nice things, and sure out of their own ignorance they did many things that somehow created some traumas and harm. That's common. Okay? But none of this is taking away the gratitude towards the good things that we received, starting from the moment of our own birth. It even goes to the fact, independently of the fact if they really cared for us or not, they saved our lives. Someone may say, oh, but my mother, she was just doing this because she had no choice. But she did it. Other mothers sometimes don't do it even. So, even at that level, we received. So we need to be grateful. So now, using the same logic as before, in a previous life, we could have been reborn in 4 different ways. Or from the mother's womb, or from an egg, or from heat, or in a miraculous way. Miraculous way is in the hell realm and in the God realm. That egg is like we know animals born in egg. From heat, there are some sort of small insects and form of life that are born in heat, maybe bacteria, I don't know. Anyhow, what happened is that there are different forms of life, and most probably we had many lives in which we were born or from an egg or from the mother's womb. And in these lives, did we have a father and a mother? Yes. If we survived during that life, did they take care of us? Yes. So what's the difference of gratefulness that I should have towards my parents of this life and the parents of my past life? Actually known. So how many lives did we have? Endless. So every life, more or less, one parent, okay? I say more or less because, okay, we had lives in the God realm, in the hell, other things, no parents there, but many others, we have many parents, okay? So how many parents we had in the past? Countless. So, when we have anybody in front of us, or even one little animal, what are the probabilities that this person, this being that is in front of me, have been or have not been my own parent? The probability that he has been my parent at some life is much, much higher than have not been. Based on the number of lives. It's not that every life the same parents going again and again, Like, it changes. So, I am in front of you, maybe today I don't like you, maybe today I don't know you, but at some point you saved my life. At some point you cared for me with love, so thank you. It doesn't matter when it was. It doesn't matter where it was. The fact is that it happened, and I feel grateful for that. So, it's a way of opening our heart to others. Sure, it's complex, because to do this, we need to have the awareness of continuity after death. We need to have the awareness of living in a cyclic existence. And so we have had countless numbers of lives. And on every life we had parents. And we developed the kindness and the gratefulness towards these parents. But it's a way of connecting to everyone. And even if we go beyond the aspect of parents, in many other lives, now maybe I have difficulty with you, but in the same life, at another moment, you were my friend. And another moment, you helped me. In another life, you were my father, my mother, my husband, my wife, my children, my teacher, many things, So thank you. I feel grateful for that for all that I have received. And one of the many very important qualities that we need to develop here, which is bringing to us, which is fundamental on the path to enlightenment, is to develop gratitude. Without gratitude, we do not move forward. Okay? So what happens is that in the moment that we feel gratitude, it means we have something. It means we feel more strength. We have received from others. We are not anymore in the situation as being a victim of whatever or whoever. I have received so much, and I'm grateful for that. And this gives me the strength also to open myself. If I feel as a victim, I'm not able to open my heart to others. If I feel as someone that have received a lot, I'm much more easily going to open my heart towards others. Okay? So the process here is developing gratitude. Gratitude towards our parents, gratitude towards our friends, gratitude towards our enemies, gratitude towards each and every one that is around us. Remembering that one thing is one thing, another thing is another thing. It's not because you harmed me that you have not benefited me at some point, and I should not be grateful for that. Okay? So this is important. It's not something that we develop like this. It takes time. It takes training. It takes dedication. It takes reflection. It takes meditation. Then gradually we go through that process. Okay? But when we talk about the 7 causes to develop bodhicitta, the first one is marshe, recognizing every sentient being as having been our mother. Second is tindren, recognize the kindness of every sentient being towards us. Third, chinsoa, developing the determination to repay back the kindness that we have received. Fourth, yuongjampa, to develop love and empathy towards others. Fifth, compassion, nyingje, to develop the full determination that we want to help others to be free from suffering. Sixth, laksam, the strong determination to do something our own selves in order to help others to be free from suffering. Seventh, bodhicitta, which is the actual state of what can I do to help others? Develop myself, because the way how I am as bad as you are, guys. So what can I do? I need to do something myself also. So, may I reach enlightenment to benefit other sentient beings, because there is no other way for me truly to help others. But the process starts from where? Equanimity as the basis, and developing gratitude. By seeing how much we have received from everyone in so many different ways. Okay? So it's a deep and important feeling. But where do we start developing gratitude? With the people that are near to us, those from whom we have received in our daily life. And then slowly we expand this to others. Okay? So gratitude is a fundamental feeling, state of mind, in order for us to develop love, bodhicitta, and to grow on our path to enlightenment. Okay? So I'm not sorry to say, but I know this is an argument, a subject that touches some very deep and delicate points somehow. But I don't want to open now for questions, simply because it's almost 2. And then we still have many things to do today, and if we open some doors, then I know myself, so then we stay here until 3. So we have to respect also other things, okay? Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar tinle chochur gepa dang losan tempe drome sasumgi drove munsel tato ne gyurchi Nimo dele tsendele, nime kuyan delek shing, nintsen takto delek, koncho sumki jingilo, koncho sumki ngodrup tsol, koncho sumki trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the 3 jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.